Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome back to another session on air pollution. Today we are going to talk about Delhi air pollution, a case study. We all know Delhi is the capital city of India. In spite of being the capital city of our country, this is also known as the pollution capital of our country. So it's so unfortunate that Delhi is combating with air pollution right from 1990s. Air pollution in Delhi, a case study, death by breath. Now, so let us get into the details why Delhi is known as the pollution capital of our country. According to the recent data, 2019 World Air Quality Report, Delhi ranks second most polluted capital city in the world for the second time. So the title Delhi is given is most polluted capital city of the world. And this title Delhi gained not for the first time, this is for the second time. Why is it so? Because its annual particulate matter, its mean annual particulate matter 2.5 micrometers level is 10 times higher than the standard set by World Health Organization. So in Delhi, because it is having so many number of vehicles, the particulate matter of 2.5 micrometers diameter is so high. It is 10 times higher than the standard prescribed by the World Health Organization. And that is the reason it is known as the most polluted capital city in the world. Apart from this, recent data also shows that Ghaziabad is the most polluted city in the world as per the IQ Air. And Delhi stands at number 5. So according to 2019 data, India is the 5th in position of the most polluted countries in the world. So out of the most polluted countries in the world, our country stands at the 5th position. This position is given based on the amount of particulate matter whose diameter is more than 2.5 micrometers. Not only the position of India is 5th, apart from that, out of the 30 most polluted cities in India, 21 are from 30 most polluted cities in the world, 21 are from our country alone. India is home to the world's 14 most populated cities, with Delhi occupying the 5th place according to the World Health Organization. So here we came to know about 3 facts. One is according to the air quality measurements of World Health Organization standards, Delhi is the most polluted capital city of the world. And Delhi occupies 5th place as the most polluted cities in the India. And the first most polluted city is Ghaziabad. And as a country, India stands at 5th position. India is ranked 5th as the most polluted countries of the world. So this data is based on the amount of particulate matter whose diameter is 2.5 micrometers and less than that. So now, Lancet is one very famous journal. According to this journal, toxic air caused to 1.24 million deaths in India in the year 2017. Toxic air caused 1.24 million deaths in India alone in the year 2017. So can you just imagine millions of people are dying due to air pollution. So this 1.24 million is 12.5% of the total death of the people in the world. This data was published by Lancet Planetary Health, which is a very famous journal. And the reports were given by Switzerland's latest IQ Air World Air Quality Reports. So if you can explore the web, there are so many sites that will talk about the most polluted cities of a country. And I want you to just show you one site, that is gyanganta.com, which shows and talks about the top 10 most polluted cities in India. So you can explore so many such sites in the web. Now, let's get back to the details given in the textbook. So the data given in the textbook, your textbook was written sometime after 2000. So we are at to 2020. So the data given in your textbook might be a little related to 1990s and 2000. So in your textbook, the case study was titled like this: Controlling the Vehicular Air Pollution, a case study of Delhi. With its very large population of vehicular traffic, Delhi leads the country in the levels of air pollution. It has more cars than the states of Gujarat and West Bengal put together. So can you just imagine the number of cars that are present in total Gujarat and West Bengal together is lesser than the number of cars present in only in Delhi. So when this situation happened, this happened in 1990s. And due to this increased number of automobiles, the vehicular pollution is so high, it has spiked to the threshold level. So in 1990s, Delhi ranked 4th among the 41 most polluted cities of the world. Out of the 41 most polluted cities of the world, Delhi ranked 4th place. This data is pertaining to 1990s research. Air pollution problems in Delhi became so serious that a public interest litigation was filed in Supreme Court of India. So the air pollution problems in Delhi became so very high. That is the reason a petition was filed in the Supreme Court of India in the interest of public. So here you should know that whenever a petition was filed in courts or stations, it is usually individual. But if a lawyer files a petition in the interest of public, we are calling it as public interest litigation. It is nothing but a petition or an application or complaint filed in the interests of public. This public interest litigation, here it is filed in order to discuss about the environmental issues. So such litigation is called as a green pill. And for the first time in India, a lawyer, a famous environmentalist and a lawyer could file this green pill in the Supreme Court of India. So if you can have a look at this chart, 999 is the amount of particulate matter with 1.0, 10 micrometers thickness. It has reached the highest all-time high. Maximum is 999. So we are talking about the first green pill filed in the Supreme Court. So anybody who does something for the first time is known as the pioneer. So who pioneered the green litigation in India? The first green pill of India was given by M.C. Mehta, noted environmental activist and a lawyer. Now, after looking into the details proposed by the Mehta, after scrutinizing all the details in the petition, the Supreme Court has directed the government to take appropriate measures within a specified time period. So Supreme Court a lawyer filed a complaint or a petition in the public interest. So after looking into the details of this petition, Supreme Court asked the Delhi government to take appropriate measures within a specified time period. This is very important. In order to take, it has to take measures to reduce the air pollution within a given stipulated time. Now let us see what kind of steps were taken by the government of Delhi. The first and important step, foremost step, is switching over the entire fleet of public transport from diesel run to compressed natural gas. So until then, all the public transport vehicles are run by diesel. But once the litigation was filed, the government has shifted the fuel that is being used in the public transport. Instead of diesel, they started using compressed natural gas, CNG. What is the advantage of using CNG over diesel? We will be discussing soon. All the buses of Delhi were converted to run on CNG by the end of 2002. So by the end of 2002, each and every bus in Delhi should be running only on CNG but not on either diesel or petrol. These are the important steps. Apart from this, what else did they do? Simultaneously, parallel steps were taken in Delhi for reducing the vehicular air pollution. So, in order to reduce the vehicular air pollution, as per the Supreme Court's directive, the first and most important step taken by the Delhi government is to convert all the diesel run vehicles into compressed natural gas, CNG run vehicles. That is the important step. Along with this, other steps were also taken. What are those steps? First one is phasing out of older vehicles. Phasing out means every vehicle has an expiry date. We are not supposed to use the vehicles for a whole lifetime. So once the expiry date is over, that old vehicle is not supposed to be used. So all the older vehicles were identified and they were not allowed to be used. That is called as phasing out of the older vehicles. Second important measure is use of unleaded petrol. So until then, even though the petrol has been refined to a far extent, it still contains some amount of lead. But with the improvements, with the enhancement in the refinery process and all, petrol was extracted by removal of the all the lead from it. Okay, use of unleaded petrol. Next one, use of low sulfur petrol and diesel. Use of low sulfur petrol and diesel means even though you're using unleaded petrol, if it contains higher amounts of sulfur, again that is a problem. And fourth one, use of catalytic converters in the vehicles. Every vehicle should definitely have a fitting of catalytic converter. No vehicle should run without a catalytic converter. We have already learned in the previous class that catalytic converter is a kind of emission control device, right? Now, application of stringent pollution level norms for the vehicles. So these vehicles, they have to take the pollution control check certificate from time to time. So all these are the different measures taken by the Delhi government in order to control the vehicular air pollution. So if we are asked to mention all the steps, step one, the most important step is conversion or switching of the diesel run public transport buses to compressed natural gas. Second one, phasing out of older vehicles. Third one, use of lead free petrol. Fourth one, use of low sulfur petrol and diesel. And fifth one, use of catalytic converters in vehicles. And sixth one, application of stringent pollution level norms for the vehicles, etc. All these are the measures. Now, we'll talk a bit about how is CNG better than diesel or petrol. Why CNG is better than diesel? Let us see. CNG burns more efficiently unlike petrol or diesel. CNG, compressed natural gas, runs more efficiently unlike your petrol or diesel in the automobiles, and very little of it is left unburned. So we know that whenever a fossil fuel like petrol or diesel is burned, 100% cannot be burnt. Some of it is released in the form of unburnt hydrocarbons, and that is how your smoke is formed. But when you take the compressed natural gas, CNG is almost clean fuel. Everything will be burnt. Very little will be unburnt. So compared to diesel, this is a highly efficient and a cleaner fuel. Now the next one, CNG is cheaper than petrol or diesel, and it is much cheaper than diesel or petrol. Another reason is it cannot be siphoned off by thieves and adulterated like petrol or diesel. So petrol or diesel are having a chances that they may mix kerosene, they may mix cheap oils in that. They can do some adulteration in order to cheat the customers. But compressed natural gas comes in a compressed cylinder, and this cylinder you cannot exactly pull out the gas or add any kind of impurities to that. And next one is it cannot be siphoned off by thieves. Thieves means usually petrol and diesel can be pulled out from the tanks with the help of tubes and other things. But compressed natural gas cylinder, from the cylinder, nobody can steal the gas. So if you compare CNG to diesel, there are so many advantages. What is the first advantage? CNG is a clean fuel. Most of it is burnt and it doesn't release any kind of unburnt carbon. Very little amount is released. CNG is much cheaper when compared to diesel. It cannot be adulterated like petrol or diesel, and it cannot be siphoned off by thieves. Siphoning off means using a tube and pulling out something is called as siphoning off. So having seen the advantages of CNG, let us see what are the main problems related to CNG. The problem for usage of CNG is that we don't have more number of pipelines of CNG everywhere. Just like how we have petrol pumps for every location, the same way we should have CNG pipelines so that the supply can be done without any disruption. This is the main problem when we have to switch from diesel or petrol based transport to CNG based transport. We need more number of pumps that can supply CNG, just like your petrol pumps. Now, because due to the efforts what we have listed, due to the efforts taken by the Delhi government, the quality of Delhi air has significantly improved. So whenever there is a will from the government and from the public, when government and the public both work together, what will happen? We have seen in so many cases. Here also the same thing happened. When a lawyer filed the petition, Supreme Court has directed the Delhi government to take necessary steps. And because of these steps, in between the period of 1997 and 2005, there is a substantial drop in the levels of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide in Delhi. So if the government has a will, it can definitely do some good work for the people. So let us hope for a pollution-free Delhi. मैं बनाऊंगा pollution-free Delhi. This is all about the Delhi's air pollution, a case study. Now the next topic is we are going to talk about the auto fuel policies that are laid by our country with reference to the European countries. Auto fuel policy. What is this auto fuel policy? An auto fuel policy is the policy laid by a government in order to show a roadmap. So as I told you, because no fossil fuel is 100% efficient and no automobile engine is 100% efficient to burn all the fossil fuel, there are some flaws. Though the fossil fuel that we use is a refined one, it comes from oil refineries. Still, there are some flaws in the refining system, and the engines, the automobile engines are also not 100% efficient. So according to this auto fuel policy, if the Indian government has laid a roadmap. That means if we start at 1990, for the first time, what should be the content of sulfur dioxide in the per 1 liter of petrol? It will give one value, and the oil refinery has to see that the refined oil should be having only that particular value, threshold point. The same way, government also gives guidelines for the automobile industry. According to these guidelines, they have to make changes in the designing of the engine so that the engine suits to the newly refined oil and it can burn the fossil fuels more efficiently. Able to understand what is this auto fuel policy? An auto fuel policy is a policy given by the government of India or any other governments. It lays a roadmap. It lays a roadmap, and the aim, the goal of this fuel policy is that there should be a progressive reduction in the pollutants that are being released. There should be a progressive reduction in the sulfur dioxide content of the fossil fuel, and aromatic hydrocarbons of the fossil fuel should be reduced. The same way, the engine should also be upgraded according to the newly refined oils. So the auto fuel policies of India are called as Bharat stages, BS. We started off at BS1 and currently we are at BS6. What does this auto fuel policy do? It sets emission standards for the automobiles. It sets emission standards for automobiles. The auto fuel policy of our country is called as Bharat stage. So currently we are heading to Bharat stage 6. Now let us have a look at this graph or representation. So in this representation, it shows that from 1970s to 1992, our country was following some set of mass emission standards, and from 1992 to 1996, you can see European countries gave emission standards for the first time in the name of Euro 1. Now, following this European norms, we also started making Bharat stage norms. So the Bharat stage norms are largely dependent, or they take the standards of Euro norm and they set the Bharat stage of norms. So Euro 1 started off. Euro 1 started off in the year 1992, and up to 1996 it is Euro norms 1, 96 to 2000 Euro norms 2, 2000 to 2005 Euro 3, and 2005 to 9 Euro 4, and so on. So here these are the European norms. So taking these European norms as standards, our country has designed our own set of emission standards under the name of Bharat stages. According to this, Bharat stage 1 is made in on par with Euro 2. According to these things, Bharat stage 1 norms applied in major cities of a country are compiled on par with the Euro 2 and Euro 3. From 2000 to 2005, it is Euro 3 that was there, and BS2, our BS2 is matching with the standards of the Euro 3 norms. Then BS3. BS3 has come into force from 2005 to 2009. Here, BS3's norms are more or less equivalent to Euro 4. So Euro 4 was functional up to 2009, and 2009 to 2010 and 14 tak, it was Euro 5, and 2014 to 2020 it is Euro 6. So like this, European norms were laid. It was like a roadmap where it helps in cutting off the sulfur dioxide and other harmful pollutants. So if you can have a look at this, BS1, the norms of our country are all almost equivalent to Euro 2, BS2 Euro 3, BS3 Euro 4, and BS4. Currently, we are at BS4 and we are crossing for BS6. So BS6 norms are almost equivalent to the Euro 6 norms. So once we started following these stages of norms in Bharat stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 and stage 4, if you compare, there is 63% reduction of pollutants from BS1 to BS2. From BS2 to BS3, 33% reduction, and 3 to 4 it is 80% reduction. So the Bharat stage norms, if you can see here, it is trying to help us understand that as we moved from stage 1 to stage 2, 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, the percentage of pollutants that are being released from the vehicle are highly reduced. Bharat 3 norms are introduced in a country from 2010 October. And Bharat 4 emission norms were enforced in 13 major cities for the first time in 2010. So if you look into the card, what is it? The vehicle card, if you see, it is clearly mentioned on the vehicle card where it belongs to BS4. All the four-wheelers belong to BS4. Maybe you have seen the Innovas and all. They write it as BS4, BS4. But currently, let me tell you, from April 2020, our country started making following stage 6. We skipped stage 5. Indian emission standards and its table it is showing. Bharat stage 2 is equivalent to Euro 2. Many times they keep asking which stage Bharat stage 2 emission standards are equivalent to which stage of the European norms, stage 2. It was enforced from 1st April 2005. Bharat stage 3 equivalent to Euro 3. It was enforced from the month April 2010. Bharat stage 4 is equivalent to Euro 4. It has come into force from 1st April 2012. And next one is Bharat Stage 5. It is skipped, and currently we are into Bharat Stage 6, which is in compliance with the Euro norms of Stage 6. So from month of April, our country entered into Bharat Stage 6. Very, very important. Currently, we are at Bharat Stage 6. Up by the end of this September, all the automobiles that are newly coming into the market should follow Stage 6. Already, some of the vehicles, new car company, Kia car company, it has released a vehicle called Seltos. Seltos is following Bharat Stage 6, and some vehicles have also come up with Stage 6 norms. So corresponding to the fuel vehicle engines, it also needs to be upgraded. So as I told you, these Bharat stages or European norms, they are nothing but they set the emission standards. So once they set the emission standards, both the oil refineries as well as the industries. Which industries? The automobile industries. Oil refineries have to find out a better way to refine the oil, and automobile industry should upgrade their vehicle. So the vehicle should be much more efficient. When India introduced Bharat Stage 2, which is a match with European Stage 2 norms, initially it introduced in the metro cities and later it extended to the whole India. Let us have look at the example. According to the newly laid Euro 3 emission norms, the newly laid Euro 3 emission norms they came into force in 11 cities from April 1st to 2005. This is the timeline what we have already discussed. Euro 4 norms come into force from April 1st, 2010. So you can see here, the government of India has laid a new auto fuel policy called as Bharat Stages. According to these stages, it gives a roadmap to cut down the vehicular pollution in the Indian cities. What kind of pollution is cut? Let us see. First one is more stringent norms for fuels must be laid there, and means steadily reducing the sulfur and aromatic content in petrol and diesel. That means the government has given guidelines to the oil refineries so that they uh, synthesize the petrol, they extract or they purify the petrol and diesel in such a way where their sulfur content and aromatic content will be very, very less. According to Euro 2 norms, very important, according to the Euro 2 norms, the sulfur should be at 350 parts per million in diesel and 150 parts per million in petrol. So according to the European 2 norms, which are equivalent to Bharat Stage 2 norms, what should be the amount of sulfur in a petrol? It is 150 parts per million. ppm stands for parts per million. What is the content of sulfur in diesel? It is 350 parts per million. So the main aim of the auto fuel policy is to reduce sulfur content and aromatic content in petrol and diesel. Sulfur should be contained at a specific 350 ppm or 150 ppm depending on the type of vehicle. Aromatic hydrocarbons should be reduced up to 42% of the concerned fuel. So these are the three important control measures, or the control measures that were proposed by the auto fuel policy, that is stage 2 Euro 2 norms. The goal according to the roadmap is that to reduce the sulfur to 50 parts per million in petrol and diesel, thus bring down the level of aromatic hydrocarbons to 35%. So if you can see here, according to Euro 2 norms, the sulfur dioxide is 350 parts per million in diesel. But according to Euro 3 norms, sulfur should be reduced to 50 parts per million in both petrol and diesel. And if you have a look at this, if it is Euro 2 or Bharat Stage 2, aromatic hydrocarbon content is at 42%, but here it is at contained up to 35%. So there should be a substantial reduction in the pollution, automobile pollution, with the progressive decrease in the sulfur dioxide and aromatic hydrocarbons of the fuels. Now, the details what we have seen till now is talking about the scenario that existed in 1990s and 2010 up to 2010. But let us have a look at some current details. India to go directly to BS6 emission norms by 2020. As I told you, BS4, so whatever vehicles we have in our house, two-wheeler, three-wheeler or four-wheeler, whatever it is, all of them are mandatorily following BS stage 4. But Government of India has announced that we are going to skip the BS5 and we are going to directly enter into the BS6 emission norms by April 2020. BS6 is in and BS4 is out. This is the current status. Now let us see if you compare BS4 and BS6. The sulfur content in the diesel is 50 parts per million according to BS4, but in BS6 it is only 10 parts per million. And sulfur content in petrol is 30 parts per million according to BS4, but according to BS6 it is only 10 parts per million. Oxides of nitrogen are reduced by 68% in the BS6 norms. Particulate level is down by 82% in the BS6 norms. So the BS6, according to BS6, the sulfur content in petrol and diesel is contained from 50 parts per million to 10 parts per million. Nitrogen is down by 68% and particulate levels are down by 82%. That means the fuel that was designed was much more efficient, and the engines that were designed to match the fuel efficiency are also very, very highly efficient. And that is the reason there is a drop in all the pollutants that are being released. Cleaner cars only by 2020. These are some factual checks. Delhi will be the first city in India to run by BS6 vehicles 2 years ahead of the deadline. That means if we have BS6 vehicles by 2020, Delhi should have got them by 2018 or 19. The new fuel will make only marginal difference with the BS3 and BS4 vehicles. And what we have to keep here in mind is the BS6 mass emission standards are so very standard that they can bring a very big drop in the emissions of the vehicular pollutants. By September 2020, all the automobile industry should be able to release only BS6 vehicles, right? So this is one feature that I collected with that shows the, what kind of changes should be made both by the oil industry as well as the automobile industry. This feature is quite interesting. You can browse in the net and you can read this further. So currently we are at which stage? Bharat Emission Standard stage 6 from April 2020. So we entered the stage 6 directly from stage 4 by skipping stage 5. Keep this in mind. So here this slide shows there is a substantial reduction of the sulfur content from petrol and diesel right from the starting bar BS1 to BS6. This green bar represents petrol and this red bar represents diesel. Amount of sulfur in the petrol and diesel is like this. Okay, next one. So what about nitrogen dioxide? Nitrogen dioxide stage 3, stage 4, stage 5 May it was contained at 500, 250 and 180 milligrams per kilometer. And particulate matter at 50 and 25. But according to the new emission norms, that is Bharat stage 6, the nitrogen dioxide will be only 80 mg per kilometer, and the particulate matter that is emitted by such BS6 vehicles is very much less. It is just 5. So this is one clipping that shows the whole story of emissions. We started at BS2 and we are into BS6. So you can see here When we started in 1990s, BS2 500 parts per million was sulfur. BS3 350 parts per million. BS4 50 parts per million. 5 10 ppm and 6 also 10 ppm. Now let us discuss about the current scenario. Impact of COVID-19 on air pollution of Delhi and other parts of the world. As we all know, once we are in the lockdown, automobile usage has reduced. Consumption of fuel has come down so drastically that all the air is now much, much fresher. The scenario before lockdown and after lockdown, if you compare it, there are so many comparative charts that are available on the net. The air quality index is in green color in most parts of the country. So before the lockdown, due to heavy usage of air pollution, the air quality was bad. It was never green, but it was uh, near to green or less than green. But now the code green can be seen in most parts of the country. That means all the people are able to breathe fresh air, which is free from pollutants. The sky is much clearer and the air is much fresh. So naturally, when we halted all the transportation system, the air quality has spiked up and the skies are much clearer and fresh air can be seen. So this is one article that shows Supreme Court bans sale and registration of BS4 vehicles after March 31, 2020. So by the end of 30th March, all the vehicles that are run by BS4 should be stopped. That is what Supreme Court has given an mandate. And another important factor is that though air quality in the world's top 10 polluted Indian cities has improved drastically, still more than 25 micrograms per micrometer uh, is still to be, a lot of particulate matter is still left. Though there is substantial increase in the particulate matter, still a lot of particulate matter is there in the soil, there in the air. So can you see and identify this? This is a monument, India Gate, which is a war memorial that is a famous iconic feature of Delhi. So this slide shows that the India Gate before the lockdown and India Gate after the lockdown. This is a very huge difference. Here you can see the visibility is so very poor. The air is so cloudy and turbid. But here everything is so very clear. Like this, there are so many such pictures available in the internet. I want you to browse through the net and then try to understand the situation of air pollution before and after. And you can see here there is a comparative table. A beautiful table was given here. And this comparative was given by NEERI Nagpur. What is NEERI? NEERI is a famous institute, National Environmental Engineering and Research Institute, Nagpur. So those who are environmental lovers, those who want to pursue environmental studies in future, you can go to this institute for PhD research, a very famous institute. According to them, particulate matter of 10 micrometers and 2.5 micrometers is 61 and 31 respectively before February 20. But after lockdown, it has come down from 61 to 47, 31 to 23. And the levels of nitrogen dioxide before lockdown were recorded as 48 and now they were recorded as 25. Sulfur dioxide is 9 and after lockdown it is or just 2. And this is one more image what I collected here. It shows about the aerosol activity. These images are satellite images that shows the aerosol activity right from 2016 to 2020. You can see here in 2016, this yellowish part is all the presence of aerosols. As we move from 2016 to 17, the thickness of this yellow shade, that means the aerosol presence has increased. And by 2018, the gap between the aerosol located areas and non-aerosol located areas was narrowed down. Here you can see almost this yellow color is being smeared throughout this part of India. Previously, there was a nice gap. That means clearer skies and all. By 2019, the aerosol content has become so very high. It is still showing lot of cloudy patchy areas. But in 2020, this grim scenario continued. But in 2020, after lockdown, the last image shows about the 2020 after lockdown images. Very fortunately, most of the aerosols were almost removed. There was only very little amount of aerosol material. That means air pollution has substantially come down due to lockdown. So this is the other side of the coin. Don't think that why we got lockdown, why we got depressed, and don't get into depression. So lockdown is also having its own advantages in terms of environmental issues. So currently the air traffic is down, fewer vehicles are on the road, and due to this, the air pollution has drastically decreased in many parts of the world. Related to this air pollution before COVID and after COVID lockdown, please refer to this, the Hindu, news of the Hindu. Not only this, every day try to look into a national newspaper, especially preferably Hindu, so that you will have so many updates related to the environment. At least from now, we should be a little more sensitive towards the environment. This is one feature that explores or that discusses about the Delhi smog before COVID and after COVID. So this picture itself speaks volumes. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching and listening to my presentation. And I hope you learned something from it today. In the next class, we will be talking about water pollution, etc. Thank you. Until then, stay home and stay safe. Goodbye.